DSharp Studio is an innovative no-code automation solution for building data warehouses. It is designed to minimize manual development and maintenance work. In this video, we're going to walk you through the entire data warehouse creation process from modeling the data to deploying the code using DSharp Studio. Step 1. Examining the data. In this example, we will load person data from two systems, the Person Master Person Registry and the Project Master Project Registry. We will begin by examining the data to understand its meaning and behavior. To start, we will create a connection to our database. Open the Connections pane and then click on New Connection. We will name the connection DSDemoData, as it is the name of our database. Next, click on the name of the new connection to view its properties. To filter the database, enter its name in the Database Name field. Now, we can browse our source data. Starting with Person Master, we will look at the Person table, noting that it contains several self-explanatory columns that we wish to load into our data warehouse, as well as a few that we do not need at this time. Additionally, there is a column that appears to reference another table. Now, let's look at the gender table. Here, we can confirm that the reference from the person table matches the values within the gender table. Next, we will examine the person data in Project Master. Although it is not identical to the data in Person Master, we can see that the columns in Project Master are also present in Person Master. Both tables include the natural key for a person, the person ID. With this understanding, we are now ready to model the data. Step 2. Modeling the data. We have decided to model the person class using Person Master as our reference, as this ensures that the Project Master data will automatically be compatible with our model. Let's open the model editor. Then, we will create the Person class, which will be a Party Place Thing class, and the Gender class, which will be a Description class. Next, we will add the necessary attributes with appropriate data types. According to the source data, Person should have the attributes Person ID, first names, nickname, last name, and date of birth. Gender, on the other hand, has code and name for its attributes. Then we'll add the appropriate metadata for these attributes. For instance, we will assume that the date of birth is immutable, regardless of how often one might feel reborn. At this point, we can assume that the Person ID is immutable as well. It can then be made into a business key for the Person class. We will then create an association between the Person and Gender classes. Mark both of them for implementation, and then we're ready to proceed to the next step. Step 3. Mapping the data. Next, we will map each column of the source data to its corresponding property in the conceptual model. We start by creating a mapping file. We'll name this according to the staging area schema through which we want to access this data. So first, Person Master. Then we select the columns from the source tables that we want to import and drag them onto the mapping file. Next, we drag the class properties onto the mapping file, ensuring that we select them in the correct order so that they align correctly with the imported columns. At this stage, we can make some manual additions to the mappings, such as adding logical primary key and foreign key information to the source data if it has not already been defined in the source tables. This process is then repeated for the project master source system. Once again, dragging the project master source columns to the mapping file, and then doing the same from the conceptual model. Now that this is complete, we are ready to generate the implementation. Step 4. Generating the solution. When we press Run, DSharp Studio conducts an extensive analysis of the model, examining the mappings and classes to identify any issues and providing options for resolution. If there are critical issues, the conversion process cannot be continued before they are resolved. This issue shows that we forgot to give the gender class a key definition. After making code the business key of gender, the model can be run. This time, there are no critical issues, but there is a suggestion we can examine. This suggestion warns us that the business key of gender is volatile as it may change in the future. This can be easily addressed by setting its rate of change to never. Now that the critical issues have been resolved, DSharp Studio will agree to begin the conversion process and enter run mode. The model is combined with the mapping data, and the Data Vault solution is generated in its entirety. We can quickly browse each object generated for each class by opening the SQL pane and selecting objects in the class implementation window. There are staging area objects, temporary storage work tables for each table in the staging area, and the procedures that populate them. We also see the storage layer tables and their populating procedures, as well as the model layer, which is the class view containing the most recent data from the storage layer. Note that the underlying satellite structure is automatically split according to the source system and other metadata choices. We can also browse the entire generated structure as it would appear on the target server. This includes viewing the generated SQL code for all tables, views, and procedures. Finally, the only step remaining is to deploy the solution. Step 5. Deploying the solution. To deploy, we select the part of the conceptual model that we want deployed and click on Create Incremental Installation Package. This opens the deployment pane, from which we can delete parts of the installation that we do not want to deploy. On our first time, we will deploy the entire install by just pressing the Deploy button. The generated SQL code can then be executed on the target server. Once deployed, the code will operate independently. This entire process involves no additional programming, just modeling and mapping, and we are done. To learn more about DSharp Studio, contact us or book a demo on our website. You can also download DSharp Studio directly from dsharp.fi.